This shows a RICOH Theta live preview stream on Windows Desktop and Android. We're going to adjust the Flutter buttons to be on the left side of the screen. The app is currently configured as a column of 2 elements. Change the column to a row so that the orientation is left to right instead of top to bottom. There are 2 expanded widgets. Take the first expanded widget and drop it down to the bottom. As the expanded widgets are in a row, placing it on the bottom will make it to the right of the button column. On the top expanded widget, change the child from a row to a column. You now have a row of 2 expanded widgets. The first expanded widget is a column of buttons, and the second one is the video or the response window. We're going to adjust the spacing of the right side of the screen by adding some padding around either the text portion of the response or the video stream window. So first go to the expanded widget that contains the either text response or the live preview widget. And then we're just going to put a padding around it. So you will use edge insets all and set the padding to some number that you like, for example 20, and that will push it in a bit so that there's more spacing between the button area and the response window, just to make it a little bit more aesthetic or easily readable. And when you actually reduce the size of the width of the screen, the video might be a little bit too close to that button column, so we'll add some padding around that as well. So for the video portion, we'll just take the default edge insets all of 8 and see how it looks. So just do Control dot, the period, and then select padding. And yeah, I think it looks a little bit better with the padding. When let's work on the button style, there's a couple different things in the button. There's a piece of text and there's the outline border of the outline button. But first, let's start working on the text here. Maybe make it a bit easier to read for maybe on mobile or different devices. So to adjust the size of the text is Style and Text Style, and then within there you go Font Size, and then there's a double. So we're going to set it to 20. It's a little bit bigger, but just to make it more obvious how we're adjusting the font size, we'll set it to a larger number, and now it's huge. It's impossible to miss these buttons now. Even though the button font is pretty humongous right now, we're going to put a bold style on it just so that you can be familiar with how to set the font weight in case you do want to make something bold or add another different weight onto it. And now that info with the bold and larger font size really stands out. You can also adjust the style of the button, the color in this case. So in the outline button, there's a property called style. And we're going to start off with outlined button.style from. And in here, we can set the primary color. We'll just use a random material font or material design color. Amber is right at the top, so I'll just select amber. I don't think it particularly looks that great, but it's easy to find here because it starts with an A. Since we're using an outline button, the outline button does have a border, so we're going to adjust that border, which is actually a side property of the outline button. We can give the border a color, so I'm just going to give it the same color as I did the text, and also a width of the border, which I'll start pretty thin, and we'll see how it looks. Yeah, it looks okay. Well, let's work on a different coloring technique for the second button, which is the stream button. So for the second button, we'll use the same syntax, right? So it's style, the property style, outline button dot style from, and then we'll set initially the primary color to black, just so it's a black text. And with that, the foreground being black, we can work with almost any lighter colored background color that's behind that piece of text. So the property to set the background color is just background color, and then we'll use the same material design default color, colors.amber, just for this demo. To make the button more usable for this demonstration, we likely need to increase the font size, at least to the same size as the info button, or else it won't look, you won't be able to make a good comparison otherwise. So let's go to the portion of the text where it has stream, which is the label, and just right after that text string, we'll just add a style and pass it a text style. And from within the text style, then we'll be able to set the font size. So we'll set it to 36. Initially, it'll kind of be like a flat button. The style is more popular now, but I like to get the drop shadow and raise it. To get the raised effect of the button with the drop shadow, we're first going to need to specify the shadow color, and I'll just specify the default colors.gray. And then we'll also need to specify the elevation of how much you want the button to appear like it's raised. So there's a property elevation, and we'll pass initially 3. It looks probably okay, but for the purpose of the demonstration, you might want to make it just a little bit bigger so that it's more obvious what we're doing here and what this effect is. So now you have a much larger, the button looks more like it's popping out of the screen. Then you can tweak that effect. So the last button we have here is the stop the video stream button. And instead of an outline button, we're going to use an icon button. The icon button also does have a tooltip. So if you do mouse over it, it will show a piece of text. But the primary visual indicator is this icon. So we're going to use a default material design icon that's built into Flutter. And we'll just use the default icons.stop just to see how it looks like here. It doesn't have a child for text, but it does have a property called tooltip, and we're going to pass it just a string, not a text widget, for the tooltip. So when you mouse over or on a mobile phone with this touchscreen, if you kind of tap it very shortly, you'll see the little tooltip. The icon size is pretty small, especially compared to the large font that we used. So let's sort of pump up the size of the icon size, and we'll maybe set it to 58, so it'll be somewhat humongous here. Oh yeah, can't miss it. This is just to get you started on some basic ways to get some styling going with your own application, either on mobile or desktop. It's a pretty nice idea from Jesse Kasman to make it into a landscape mode with the button row on the left-hand side. This does show you some styling elements that you can do with Flutter. It's not a best practice to use this all amber or to have different types of buttons, different styles in there, but it will get you started. Love to see what you do. We're going to be adding more functionality in the future with this tutorial series. This tutorial series does use 2 different packages on Flutter, Theta and Theta F. So be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you have any questions, drop us a comment or go to the forum and ask a question there. Have a great day.